My fault, y'all. They cut my video. They might cut my video once again, but if it do, I will record another video. So we only thought that way. No, we only think that way when it comes to people who are in their mid-20s or in their late 20s or their early 30s that they owe or aunties or uncles, but that's not old. You're still young. You're still young, bro, in reality. I take reality over the internet all day, bro. Because all the stuff that everybody talk about on the internet is not real. It's not real info. So like I said, people who are in their late 20s and their early 30s are still young people, bro. And this back in 2015, when I'm talking about the people that who in their early 30s, in their late 20s, in 2015, back then when there was teenagers, or or in the early 30s. We only old by the age of 70. 70. We only old by the age of 70 and higher. Stop lying on the internet, making things up. And stop making things up and listen to reality, bro. Reality. You ain't old. You ain't old in your 40s or 50s. You're just someone who's older than the rest, and you know some things about life. That's, most people who are in their 40s and 50s know things about life. But not everybody do, but it's very common. It's very common for people who are in their 40s or 50s that know things about life. So if you 18 up to 25, you still under the youth. You're still under the youth. 25 through 30, still young. You only feel that way. You only feel that way because you don't spend time with yourself and actually work on yourself instead of F yourself in the club every day. Rappers back then, around the time I was in middle school, more still kids who drop out. They drop out of school or just graduate high school, who already was doing grown stuff during their high school years. And some drop out and really took their rapping game serious, and took their rapping game serious at a young age. Which I mentioned before. Now everyone in their life in 2015 or hold on, let me run that back. Now everyone who's in their late 20s or mid 20s, living life now. They living life now. Everyone had to be a risk taker. They have to be a risk taker at a young age. No matter what you choose, from 15 to 19 years of age, you can work hard at the top. You can work hard your way. You can work your way up to the top. Somehow, you have to figure out first, You have to figure out somehow, No matter what you have to do, you got to figure your way up to the top. You have to get rich some way. That my phone trying to die. Come on now. Anyway, y'all. Okay. To the top. So understand the rappers today start out young, and we can see how. We can see how young and how young they was back then. And we can see how young the rappers were in the beginning of the first set of videos they released on YouTube. For example, look at Lil Yachty. He was 17 or 16 when he started rapping. Then he took off at the age of 18 years old with that song called One Night. And he went to the SSL 2016. Let's go for real, bro. Along with rappers now at least in their late 20s or early 30s. That today, I'm talking about today. But back then, that was in the early 20s or late teens. With millions in the bank, and you can do the same. But it's going to be a dog fight. It will be a dog fight, and you cannot waste time. You're gonna have to. Dang, what the heck? I wrote like the. Oh, okay. You have to fall in love with the struggle. You have to fall in love with the struggle and pain. So yeah, every rapper was young doing grown stuff. And you can start off old also. You can start old also. And not just young, you know. It ain't too late. That's what I'm saying. It's not too late to start anything. But why I say start out young, at a young age? Because you will have more energy. More energy in your time, in your 20s or your late teens, instead of your older years, because you're not gonna have energy like that. So yeah, you have to start somewhere, bro. No matter where you at, old, young, you can start anything right away. But I highly suggest you to start out young. To start out young, bro. But yeah, every rapper that was out back then when I was in middle school, like back then, 2015, was in their teens, bro. They just got out of high school or drop out of high school. I mean, graduate high school or drop out of high school. And now they in their mid-20s or their late 20s or they early 30s now, as in today. That's insane. But yeah, it's your boy Will checking out, and I'm gone.